Well, hello there again, everyone. It's Friday, October 16th, and you are here with us on GNAT-TV for the News Project Live. I'm Andrew McKeever, the news director of GNAT-TV's News Project, and it's a pleasure to be back with you again today. Let's see. Starting off this week, well, we'll pick up on a story that was very prominent earlier this week, and that was about the student at the Manchester Elementary Middle School kindergarten who tested positive for COVID on an antigen test as opposed to the PCR test, which, as we all know, at this point is the state of the art test. Anyway, out of an abundance of caution, as the expression goes, the kindergarten classes were limited just to remote learning this past week, and we have since learned that uh, they will be going back to their regular schedule next week, which means 2 days in person, 2 days remote, and no more tests, no more positive cases were identified at the school. So that's where things stand at the moment. And we'll be continuing to follow that story. The students in grades 1 through 8 were not affected by that report. They continue to participate in their regular schedules, 2 days in person, 2 days off. And the same for the pre-kindergarten as well. Um, on a related note, a story that we just posted to our website shortly before I came on the air. Um, there's a child care hub that's opened up at the Park House. Actually, opened up I guess about a week and a half ago. Um, this is for students who need a place to go for their remote learning days when they're not in school, and parents are unable to kind of supervise things from home because they have to go to work and all of that. So there's a child care hub, one of 30 or so that have been opened around the state as a result of some money the state received through the Federal CARES Act. Um, and it's up at the Park House in Manchester. It's open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Um, and they got a really nice setup. We had a chance to visit up there earlier this week, and like I said, posted a segment about it, so you can go there and check that out. Uh, they've got capacity for 30 kids. Right now, there's only about 10 in there, so parents of kindergartners through sixth grade who are struggling to find a way to make sure that the remote learning is going as the way it's supposed to might be an option for you to check out. Otherwise, let's see, we're going to go down through the list here. Well, as we all know, Election Day is slowly but surely arriving. Only about another, 17 or 18 days to go till November 3rd. So if you haven't mailed in your ballot, you still have time to do so. Although the timeline is short. I believe the Vermont Department of State suggested that you mail in your ballots at least a week before Election Day, probably erring on the side of caution and mailing them in a little bit sooner than that might not be a bad idea. But you always have the option to go over and vote the same way you always have in the past as well. We have some interesting races going on locally. Of course, the state representative race for Manchester, Arlington, Sandgate, and a bit of Sunderland has drawn a lot of interest, um, and as well as the state senate race, where there are 5 candidates vying for the 2 seats in the state senate to represent Bennington County and the town of Wilmington. Um, we had a debate here on GNET last Monday with those 5 candidates, 2 hours long. Very interesting discussion, I thought. You certainly will hear a wide range of views. If you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, you can go to GNAT's website at gnat-tv.org. Check that out and bring yourself up to speed on where the candidates are standing on some of the major issues facing the state and also the district. So um, Interesting discussion. I'll leave it at that. We also, of course, have a governor's race and lieutenant governor's race. Both of them are kind of interesting. And we will, that's all I mentioned. All of that is a way to lead up to the fact that on election night, November 3rd, GNAT will be hosting again, as we've done the last two election cycles, a live election night coverage program. We will have a group of local political experts on hand to discuss the ins and outs of all of that. We're also excited to have a panel of students from some of the area high schools also lined up to give us their perspective on issues that are important to students and people of their age bracket. So, all in all, it should be an interesting night. Mark your calendars. We'll go on there around 8 o'clock on election night and hang around as long as we can. Otherwise, we also are going to be reporting on an interesting initiative going on up in Londonderry called Project Londonderry that's been promoted by their planning commission. The idea being to create a citizen-driven group to, quote, identify and implement strategies and activities that sustain and improve the economic vitality of the town and meet the expressed needs of the residents with special attention to the north and south village centers. That would, I would assume, mean South Londonderry, and then I guess you call it the northern end of the town there, where Route 30 runs through at the intersection of Route 100. So we talked with the chairman of the Londonderry Planning Commission earlier this week, and we'll be putting together a segment about that. Sounds kind of interesting, a sort of a local improvement project. Always good to hear about stuff like that going on. Otherwise, let's see. Interesting story in today's journal about the town of Arlington and the Bennington County Sheriff's Department parting ways over their contract. We also have that pullout from the select board meeting held this past Tuesday up on the GNAT-TV website, where select board is sort of the opinion that they're not getting a good value or return for the money they're paying to the Bennington County Sheriff's Department and are seeking to get out of their contract. According to the journal story, the town has paid over $9,000 for 2007 hours that resulted in 19 traffic stops, 11 tickets, and 17 other incidents. And basically, the board seems to be of the opinion that they spent a lot of money and haven't gotten their value out of it. Meeting to restructure that contract or discuss it further apparently failed to resolve some of the differences, and therefore the town is looking to cancel the contract as of October 25th. So, to be continued. We'll certainly be taking a closer look at that, because there are some interesting aspects to all of that. Meanwhile, the Governor Phil Scott had his regular Friday press conference today. A couple of interesting announcements. Well, we'll start with yesterday. Announcement came out from the governor's office saying that they were going to be extending the state of emergency originally posed back last March when the COVID pandemic first began. That's going to be extended to November 15th. They've been extending that by 30 days each, pretty much right on through. What that executive order for the state of emergency allows them to continue expanding eligibility for unemployment insurance and resources for business and programs to help those in need, like meal delivery systems and housing. It also gives them the authority to limit in-person contact, like limiting the size of gatherings and closure of schools and institution of remote learning through the end of the school year, as well as directing the postponement of non-essential medical and surgical procedures and other close contact businesses. So again, that's just going to be extended on until November 30th. Another interesting point that was made was that the number of green counties in neighboring states, that's counties where there's an infection rate of less than 400 cases of COVID per 1 million residents, as is continuing to shrink. You may recall back earlier this summer, the trend was going in the opposite direction. There were more counties, not just in neighboring states, but going out into farther afield locations like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Ohio, where the case levels were dropping, and therefore people coming from those states to Vermont didn't need to go through the 2 week long quarantine. However, if you go to the map on the Agency of Community Commerce and Community Development, you'll see that um, those counties have shrunk a lot. And if you go there, you also need to quarantine when you return to Vermont. So anyway, just part of the trend line where, as has been discussed and expected, a second wave of infections from COVID seems to be happening, and just one more thing to kind of be on the lookout for. Also, on the uh, press conference, an interesting announcement made by the president of the Vermont State Colleges, Joyce Judy, saying that the community colleges of Vermont and Vermont State Colleges will be offering free college courses to all Vermonters whose work has changed because of the pandemic. If you were laid off or furloughed or had your hours cut, you're eligible for free courses given by the schools. Many of them will be online, of course, and very flexible schedules. Um, in areas where you might be perhaps looking to change fields or get additional credits or certification, things like professional training, childcare, manufacturing, technology were mentioned. So it's an opportunity to get new skills and maybe prepare for the next job. And the other, of course, big part of it is this is free. Funding is only available, however, for a short period of time and only available for classes this fall. So if this sounds like something you might be interested in, uh, get on the phone or send them an email. You can go to the Vermont State College's website and find the information there. So sign up quickly if you can. The good news, again, despite what I was just saying about the shrinking number of green counties outside of Vermont, within Vermont, there's still a very small number of cases. Uh, we had that one case at MEMS I mentioned earlier, but there was another outbreak of 18 or so folks up in the Barre Montpelier area connected to a hockey rink or a team competition of some sort. Contact tracing is underway and they're checking it down, but that seems to be limited to a relatively small number of people. And overall, still a relatively small number of cases of COVID in Vermont schools and statewide as a whole. So that will about do it for today. Hope you looking forward to a nice weekend. Weather forecast not quite as wonderful as it's been the last couple of weeks, but I guess we'll cope. Anyway, have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you again next week. And for GNAT-TV, this has been Andrew McKeever from the News Project. Take care and stay safe.